or drawer could be worth a fortune, then you're in the right place. First up, the 1944 D Lincoln Wheat Penny is one of the most talked about coins among collectors in the United States. It carries the image of President Abraham Lincoln on the front and 2 wheat stalks on the back, symbolizing prosperity and hard work. This coin was minted in Denver, which is why it has a small D mint mark just below the date. Even though millions of these coins were produced, collectors still find great interest in them because of their history, design, and variations that can make certain examples valuable. The Wheat Penny series was first introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it became the first U.S. coin to feature a real person's portrait.
The 1944 D version came right after the famous 1943 steel cent, which was made of zinc-coated steel due to copper shortages during World War II. When the war ended, the U.S. Mint returned to the traditional bronze alloy made mostly of copper, with small amounts of tin and zinc. This change made the 1944 issue one of the most recognized coins from the mid-20th century. Although more than 430 million 1944 D pennies were struck, most have been lost, damaged, or heavily circulated over the years. The value of this coin today depends heavily on its condition, color, and any unusual errors or varieties it might have. In simple terms, collectors classify condition using grades. A coin that shows clear wear and dull surfaces is called good a coin, with moderate wear, but visible design details is fine. If the design is still sharp with just a bit of wear, it is extremely fine. When a coin shows no signs of wear and looks almost brand new, it is described as uncirculated or mint state. The better the grade, the higher the price it can sell for. Another key factor is color. Because the 1944 D penny is made mostly of copper, it changes color with time. Newly minted coins were bright red, but copper darkens into red-brown, and then full brown. Collectors prefer the bright red tone because it indicates that the coin has been well preserved. So red coins bring the highest prices. In today's market, the average 1944 D Lincoln Wheat Penny in well-circulated condition, such as good or fine, is usually worth between 10 cents and a few dollars. When the same coin is found in much better condition, such as extremely fine or almost uncirculated, it may sell for around $5 to $20. Truly uncirculated examples that still have original luster and red color can reach between $30 and $100 or more, depending on the exact grade. However, the biggest surprises come from rare varieties. In 1944, a small number of pennies were accidentally struck on leftover steel planchets from 1943 instead of copper ones. These are known as the 1944 D steel cents. They are incredibly rare, and examples in good condition have sold for tens of thousands of dollars, sometimes even higher at major auctions. Because of that, anyone who suspects they have a steel version should have it tested with a magnet and certified by a professional grading service such as PCGS or NGC. For the regular copper 1944 D penny, collectors look for coins with a clean surface, sharp details, and a well-defined D mint mark. Scratches, corrosion, and cleaning marks can significantly lower the value. It's always better to leave the coin in its original state rather than trying to polish or clean it. If the coin has been stored carefully in a protective holder, such as a plastic flip or an album, it will maintain its color and detail for decades. Even though it may not make you rich, a well-preserved 1944 D wheat penny is still a charming piece of American history that connects collectors to a time when coins were made of solid metal and circulated widely in everyday life. Many coin enthusiasts enjoy collecting all the wheat pennies from 1909 to 1958 as a full set, and the 1944 D is an essential part of that collection. Its affordability makes it a great starting point for beginners, while high-grade or rare error examples still appeal to experienced collectors. Each coin carries a small story of the post-war American economy, the Denver Mint's busy production, and the artistry of early 20th century coin design. Today's coin market values fluctuate, but the 1944 D penny remains steady as a collectible. On online auction sites, prices for common circulated coins may start at under $1, while certified uncirculated pieces with bright red surfaces can command between $50 and $100 depending on buyer demand. Collectors also look for special features such as doubled dies or off-center strikes, which can increase value further. Next up, the 1937 Lincoln Wheat Penny is another fascinating and collectible coin from the long-running Lincoln Cent series. This coin does not have a mint mark, which means it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. The Philadelphia facility was the main mint for the United States and typically did not use a mint mark on its coins before 1942. The 1937 Wheat Penny carries the same classic design created by Victor David Brenner in 1909, featuring the bust of Abraham Lincoln on the front and two wheat stalks on the reverse. This design, known as the wheat ears reverse, represents prosperity and strength and remained on the cent until 1958. In 1937, the U.S. Mint produced over 309 million of these coins in Philadelphia, so it is not a rare date by mintage numbers alone. However, the value of any Lincoln cent depends greatly on its condition, color, and any special characteristics such as errors or unique toning. The 1937 penny was made of a bronze alloy consisting of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. Over time, this metal tends to darken, developing shades of red-brown or full brown, especially if the coin has been in circulation for decades. Because of this, the color of the coin can also affect its desirability and price. A coin in fine condition, as you described, shows moderate wear on Lincoln's portrait. Most of the major details, like his face, hair, and coat, are still visible, but the highest points are worn smooth. The lettering and date remain readable, though the coin may have small scratches or discoloration from circulation. This is typical for a coin that has spent years in use before being collected. While fine condition is not considered high grade by collectors, it still holds sentimental and historical value, especially for people interested in early 20th century U.S. coinage. In today's coin market, the value of a 1937 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark in fine condition is modest but meaningful to collectors. As of 2025, the typical price for such a coin ranges from about $25,000 in everyday market conditions. Some well-preserved examples may sell for slightly higher, around $100 if the color and eye appeal are better than average. If the coin is cleaned, corroded, or has deep scratches, the value may drop to face value, or just a few cents. However, a bright red uncirculated example, showing no wear and retaining full original luster, could be worth $5 to $15, depending on grading and demand. Although the 1937 penny is not a rare date, collectors appreciate it for its quality minting and historical charm. It represents a time when the United States was recovering from the Great Depression, and small coins like the penny had real buying power in daily life. Every Lincoln cent from this period carries a bit of that story. Many collectors enjoy building a complete set of Lincoln Wheat Pennies from 1909 to 1958, and the 1937 issue is a necessary part of that journey. There are also a few error varieties from this year that can add extra value. Some 1937 pennies show doubled dies or small die cracks, and if verified by a professional grading service, such coins can sell for much more than regular examples. However, these are not common, and most circulated 1937 pennies are standard bronze issues. If your coin has some scratches but is otherwise in fine condition, its collectible value still remains. It might not be worth a large amount in dollars, but it is still a genuine piece of American numismatic history, over 85 years old, and from a time when Lincoln cents were a vital part of everyday commerce. For best preservation, it's recommended not to clean or polish it, as that can lower its value. Instead, Store it in a dry holder or a small protective coin flip to prevent further wear. Next up, the 1951 Lincoln Wheat Penny with an S mint mark is a classic mid-century American coin that continues to interest collectors today. The S mint mark indicates that it was produced at the San Francisco Mint, one of the three mints striking Lincoln cents that year, the others being Philadelphia, no mint mark, and Denver, D mint mark. The Wheat Penny series, designed by Victor David Brenner, had already been in production for over 40 years by 1951, and its familiar design featuring President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and two wheat ears on the reverse remained a symbol of America's resilience and prosperity after World War II. In 1951, the San Francisco Mint struck over 136 million wheat pennies. Because of that large mintage, the 1951 S is not considered rare, but its condition, color, and any special characteristics still affect its value. The coin is made of the traditional bronze composition used since 1944, about 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. Over decades of circulation, copper coins developed darker tones, ranging from bright red, when new, to red-brown or full brown. Collectors pay the highest prices for red examples that have been stored carefully and never circulated. A 1951 S penny described as being in good condition means it has seen heavy circulation. The word good in coin grading is actually one of the lower grades. It does not mean excellent as in everyday speech. In this condition, Lincoln's portrait is still visible but quite worn, with major details in his hair and face flattened. The lettering and date are readable, but may appear dull, and the coin's surface shows clear wear and scratches from handling. Despite this, even a well-worn 1951 S penny remains an authentic vintage collectible that's over 70 years old. In today's market, the value of a 1951 S Lincoln Wheat Penny in good condition is typically around 5 to 15 cents. Many coin dealers will pay about a dime for an average example. If the coin is slightly better, for instance, showing less wear and nice color, it might reach $45,000. Coins in extremely fine or almost uncirculated condition can sell for $500 to $700, while fully uncirculated red pieces graded by professional services such as PCGS or NGC can bring $5 to $10 or more, depending on their luster and strike. Although your coin has some scratches, which slightly lowers its collector appeal, it still holds numismatic and historical interest. The scratches suggest that it circulated for years, likely passing through countless hands in the 1950s and 1960s when a penny still had real buying power. For many collectors, that human history adds charm, even if the market price remains modest. If you wish to keep the coin, it's best not to clean or polish it. Cleaning can remove natural patina and cause fine abrasions that decrease its value. Instead, store it in a dry holder, such as a plastic coin flip or a small album pocket, to prevent further oxidation or damage. Over time, even low-value wheat pennies can become part of a meaningful collection when organized by date and mint mark. The 1951 S Wheat Penny also carries historical significance. It was minted during a period of economic recovery and growth in the United States. Just before the wheat ear design was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial Reverse in 1959, every cent from this era serves as a small reminder of mid-century America, a time when copper coins were an everyday part of life and Lincoln's image stood for integrity and unity. Next up, the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark is another classic piece of American coinage that remains popular among collectors today. Because it has no mint mark, this particular coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which was the main minting facility for U.S. coins at the time. Like all wheat pennies, it features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front, designed by Victor David Brenner, and two wheat stalks on in 1950. The Philadelphia Mint struck approximately 272 million Lincoln cents, so this date is not considered rare in terms of mintage. However, the value of any coin depends on its condition, color, and overall eye appeal. The coin was made from the standard post-war bronze composition, 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, which gives it its rich reddish-brown color. Over time, copper coins tend to darken or tone, moving from bright red, RD, when freshly minted, to red-brown, RB, or full brown, BN, as the metal reacts to air and handling. Your coin is described as being in very fine VF condition, which means it shows light to moderate wear, but retains much of its original detail. On a very fine 1950 penny, Lincoln's hair and beard are worn but still distinct. His cheek and jaw show some smoothing, and the lettering and date remain sharp and clear. The wheat stalks on the reverse should still show clear separation between most of the lines, though the highest points will be a bit flat. A few small scratches, as you mentioned, are normal for a circulated coin of this age and don't significantly affect its overall appeal, as long as they are not deep or distracting. In today's market, the typical value of a 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark in very fine condition is around $15,000 in US dollars. If the coin has good color, smooth surfaces, and minimal damage, it might sell for closer to 50 cents. Higher-grade examples, such as extremely fine, XF, or about uncirculated AU pieces, can bring $100 to $200, while bright, uncirculated red examples certified by professional grading services may reach $500 to $900 or more. On the other hand, coins with heavy scratches or corrosion might only be worth a few cents, mostly as collectibles rather than for their copper value. While the 1950 penny is not rare, it remains a meaningful part of any Lincoln wheat cent collection. It represents the post-World War II period when the U.S. economy was strong and pennies were still made of solid copper instead of the copper-plated zinc used in later years. For many collectors, the charm of owning such a coin lies in its connection to everyday life in mid-20th century America, when a penny could actually buy something, and children often collected them straight from their change. If you plan to keep the coin, the best way to preserve its condition is to avoid cleaning or polishing it, since that can damage the natural surface and reduce its collector value. Instead, place it in a small coin flip, 2x2 holder, or protective album page where it won't rub against other coins. Keeping it in a cool, dry environment will also help slow down oxidation and preserve its original color. Even though its monetary value is modest, the 1950 Philadelphia Wheat Penny holds historical and sentimental worth. It marks the beginning of the decade that would later see major design changes to U.S. currency and the eventual transition to the Lincoln Memorial Reverse in 1959. Collectors appreciate these coins for their simple elegance, their all-copper composition, and their link to America's past. Next up, the 1942 Lincoln Wheat Penny, without a mint mark, is a well-known and collectible coin from the early 1940s. Because it has no mint mark, this coin was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, which produced the majority of U.S. coins during that period. Like all Lincoln Wheat Pennies, it features the famous design by Victor David Brenner, with President Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the front and two wheat stalks curving around the words 1 cent on the back. This design symbolizes strength, prosperity, and the spirit of the American worker during a very important time in history. By 1942, the United States was involved in World War II, and the government was beginning to conserve metals for the war effort.
However, copper was still being used for pennies at that time. The change to steel cents would not occur until 1943. The 1942 wheat penny was therefore struck in the traditional bronze composition, about 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. These coins have a warm reddish-brown appearance when new, but over the decades, the copper darkens and develops a brown tone, especially if it's circulated heavily. The Philadelphia Mint struck more than 657 million Lincoln Wheat Pennies in 1942, which makes this coin very common in the numismatic world. Still, collectors value it for its age, design, and connection to the wartime era. Since your coin is in fine condition, it means it has seen moderate wear from circulation. In this grade, Lincoln's portrait is still clearly visible, but much of the fine detail, such as the strands of his hair and the texture of his coat, is worn smooth. The lettering and the date 1942 remain sharp and readable, though the coin's surface may have some light scratches or small marks from use, as you mentioned. In today's market, a 1942 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark in fine condition typically has a value of around 10 to 20 cents in US dollars. If the coin has nice color and minimal damage, it might reach up to 25 or 30 cents. Higher grade examples, such as extremely fine, XF, or almost uncirculated, AU coins, are often worth 50 cents to $1, while bright red uncirculated coins certified by professional grading services can sell for $3 to $10 or more, depending on their shine and strike quality. If a coin is deeply scratched, discolored, or cleaned, the value may fall closer to face value, but it still holds interest as a genuine pre-war collectible. Although this particular coin is not rare, its appeal lies in its historical context. The 1942 penny represents the final year before the famous 1943 steel cent.